In this retrospective journey, we'll delve into the lives and careers of the esteemed cast members of the iconic biblical epic, The Ten Commandments, released in 1956. However, as we examine the lives of these legendary actors from then to now, we must confront the tragic reality that all cast members have since passed away. Join us as we honor their memories and celebrate their enduring legacies in the realm of cinema. Charlton Heston as Moses. Moses was born to Yoshabel. By the time Moses came into the world, the Hebrews had endured 400 years of enslavement. When the anxious Pharaoh Ramesses I got wind of a prophecy foretelling the birth of a Hebrew who would liberate his people from bondage, he decreed the execution of all male Hebrew infants in Egypt. Determined to spare her son from this fate, Yoshebel placed him in a reed basket and set him adrift on the Nile. Heston's inaugural professional film role was as the protagonist in Dark City, a 1950 film noir produced by Hal Wallace when he was 26 years old. His breakthrough occurred when Cecil B. DeMille cast him as a circus manager in The Greatest Show on Earth, which was honored by the Motion Picture Academy as the Best Picture of 1952. In March 1944, Heston exchanged vows with Lydia Marie Clark, a student at Northwestern University at Grace Methodist Church in downtown Greensboro, North Carolina. Heston passed away on the morning of April 5, 2008, at his residence in Beverly Hills, California, with Lydia, his spouse of 64 years, by his side. He was 84 years old at the time of his passing. Heston is also survived by their son, Fraser Clark Heston, and daughter, Holly Ann Heston. The family did not disclose the cause of death initially, but a month later, media reports revealed that he had succumbed to pneumonia. Ann Baxter as Nefertiti. Nefertiti possesses a vibrant and enthusiastic demeanor. She expresses her emotions openly, whether it be love and admiration or hatred and disrespect towards others. She exudes immense confidence not only in herself, but also in those she considers allies, often displaying arrogance and underestimating her enemies. At the age of 16, Baxter auditioned for the role of Mrs. De Winter in Rebecca. Director Alfred Hitchcock deemed Baxter too youthful for the part, but she soon signed a 7-year contract with 20th Century Fox. In 1940, she was loaned to MGM for her debut film, 20 Mule Team, where she was credited fourth after Wallace Beery, Leo Carrillo, and Marjorie Rambeau. Baxter tied the knot with actor John Hodiak on July 7, 1946, at her parents' residence in Burlingame, California. The couple welcomed their daughter, Katrina, into the world in 1951. Baxter suffered a stroke on December 4, 1985, while attempting to hail a taxi on Madison Avenue in New York City. She remained on life support for 8 days at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York until family members determined that brain function had ceased. She passed away on December 12th, at the age of 62. Yvonne DiCarlo as Sephora. Sephora hailed from the Midianite tribe, serving as a shepherdess and the eldest daughter of Jethro, the Midianite leader. She wed Moses as his second wife and bore him a son named Gershom. Sephora ardently adhered to the beliefs of the God of Abraham, revered by his followers as He Who Has No Name. DiCarlo and her mother embarked on multiple journeys to Los Angeles. In 1940, she secured second place in the Miss Venice Beauty Contest and attained fifth place in the Miss California competition of the same year. Her participation can be observed in the British Pathé film A Matter of Figures at the 036 mark. During the Miss Venice pageant, a talent agent took notice of her and encouraged her to audition for a chorus line position at the Earl Carroll Theater on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. In her memoir, DiCarlo reminisced about director Billy Wilder, whom she considered the first significant love of my life. DiCarlo endured a minor stroke in 1998 and subsequently became a resident of the Motion Picture and Television Country House and Hospital in Woodland Hills, where she spent her final years. She passed away from heart failure on January 8, 2007, and was cremated. Edward G. Robinson as Dathan. Dathan, an Israelite, commenced his existence in servitude. Through cunning maneuvering, he managed to gain favor with the master builder Baca, eventually earning his trust. Upon uncovering Moses's true lineage, he divulged this information to Ramses in exchange for liberty and the prestigious title of governor of Goshen. Additionally, he coerced the water maiden Lilia into becoming his concubine. In 1915, Robinson made his inaugural appearance on Broadway in Roy Cooper McGrew's Under Fire. His cinematic debut occurred in Arms and the Woman, 1916. It wasn't until 1923 that he adopted the stage name E. G. Robinson, starring in the silent film The Bright Shawl. Robinson portrayed a menacing gangster in the 1927 Broadway production of the police crime drama The Racket, which subsequently typecast him in similar film roles, commencing with The Hole in the Wall, 1929, alongside Claudette Colbert for Paramount. Robinson exchanged vows with stage performer Gladys Lloyd Castle in 1927. The pair welcomed a son, Edward G. Robinson, Jr., known affectionately as Manny, 1933-1974, and Robinson also embraced his wife's daughter from a previous marriage. The couple dissolved their union in 1956. In 1958, Robinson entered matrimony with Jane Bodenheimer, a renowned dress designer professionally recognized as Jane Arden. He resided in Palm Springs, California. Robinson succumbed to bladder cancer at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles on January 26, 1973. A commemorative service was held at Temple Israel in Los Angeles, where Charlton Heston delivered the eulogy. Judith Anderson as Memnet. During the array when Ramesses I decreed the extermination of all Hebrew male infants, Jochabel, a Hebrew servant, floated her child in a basket down the Nile River to safeguard him from such an order. The infant was subsequently discovered amidst the reeds by Bithia, the widowed daughter of Ramesses I, who encountered him while bathing in the Nile, accompanied by her attendants, including Memnet. She commenced her professional career in 1915, portraying Stephanie at the Theatre Royal, Sydney, in A Royal Divorce. Leading the troupe was the Scottish actor Julius Knight, whom she later credited with establishing the groundwork for her acting abilities. Anderson resided primarily in Santa Barbara, California, where she passed away from pneumonia in 1992 at the age of 94. Anderson received the title of Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, DBE, in 1960, and henceforth was often referred to as Dame Judith Anderson. On June 10, 1991, as part of the 1991 Australian Queen's Birthday honours, she was appointed a Companion of the Order of Australia, AC, in acknowledgement of her contributions to the performing arts. Cedric Hardwick as Sethi. Sethi, the offspring and successor of Pharaoh Ramesses I of Egypt, reigned as Pharaoh of Egypt prior to the exodus of the Hebrews, inheriting the throne from his father, Pharaoh Ramesses I. His mother was Queen Sitra, and his sibling was Princess Bithia. Sethi's spouse was Tuya, who bore his son Ramesses II, the subsequent pharaoh. Hardwick debuted on the stage at the Lyceum Theatre, London in 1912 during the production of Frederick Melville's melodrama The Monk and the Woman, where he assumed the role of Brother John. In that same year, he served as an understudy at Her Majesty's Theatre and later performed at the Garrick Theatre in Charles Klein's play Find the Woman and Trust the People. In 1928, he wedded the English actress Helena Pickard. Their marital union ended in divorce in 1948, and they had a son, actor Edward Hardwick. His second marriage, which yielded a son named Michael, also ended in divorce. He was married to actress Mary Scott, 1921 to 2009, from 1950 to 1961. A lifelong avid smoker, he suffered from emphysema and passed away on August 6, 1964, at the age of 71 in New York due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Martha Scott as Jochabel. Jochebed, a Hebrew enslaved woman hailing from the tribe of Levi and born in Goshen, entered wedlock with Amram, bearing Miriam, Aaron, and Moses. She thwarted Pharaoh Ramesses' decree condemning all Hebrew male infants to death by rescuing her newborn son. Setting Moses adrift in a basket, she entrusted his safety to her daughter Miriam. Scott's career surged following her college graduation, marked by her participation with the Globe Theatre Troupe in a sequence of Shakespearean productions at the Century of Progress World's Fair in Chicago in 1934. Subsequently relocating to New York City, she secured consistent roles in both stock stage productions and radio dramas. In 1938, she marked her Broadway inauguration in the original presentation of Thornton Wilder's drama Our Town, embodying Emily Webb, the sorrowful young woman who perished in childbirth. Scott entered matrimony twice, initially with radio producer and announcer Carlton William Alsop from 1940 to 1946, and later with jazz pianist and composer Mel Powell from 1946 until his demise in 1998. With Alsop, she bore a son named Carlton Scott Alsop, while she shared two daughters, Mary Powell Harpel and Kathleen Powell, with her second spouse. Scott passed away on May 28, 2003, in Van Nuys, Los Angeles, at the age of 90, succumbing to natural causes. Vincent Price as Baka. The Egyptian Sentinel, also known by the name Baka, serves as a minor foe in The Prince of Egypt. He plays a pivotal role in catalyzing Moses' transition from a member of Egypt's aristocracy to the chosen guardian of the Hebrew people as designated by God. Price's initial foray into the horror genre, which later solidified his reputation, occurred in the Boris Karloff movie Tower of London, 1939. The subsequent year, Price assumed the lead role in The Invisible Man Returns, a part he revisited in a voice-only cameo during the concluding scene of the horror comedy parody Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, released in 1948. Price battled chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and Parkinson's disease. His conditions worsened significantly during the filming of Edward Scissorhands, necessitating a reduction in his shooting schedule. These health challenges also prompted his retirement from Mystery in 1989. He passed away at 82 due to lung cancer on October 25, 1993, at his residence in Los Angeles, California. Deborah Page as Lilia. Lilia, a Hebrew servant assigned the duty of fetching water, was her family's eldest daughter. Later on, she was compelled to enter a relationship with Dathan, a previous chief supervisor of Hebrew laborers who had been appointed as Goshen's new governor following Baka's demise. Eventually, she wed Joshua, Moses' successor. Paget's initial noteworthy film appearance occurred in Cry of the City, a 1948 film noir directed by Robert Siodmak for 20th Century Fox, where she portrayed Tina Raconti, the girlfriend of the character played by Richard Conte. Fox was impressed by her performance and offered her a prolonged contract. She landed minor roles in Mother is a Freshman, 1949, It Happens Every Spring, 1949, and House of Strangers, 1949. On March 27, 1960, she wed Bud Boeticher, a filmmaker in Tijuana, Mexico. Their union ended in separation after 22 days, and they finalized their divorce in 1961. After marrying Ling Si-kung on April 19, 1962, Paget withdrew from the entertainment sector in 1964. Kung, an executive in the oil industry of Chinese-American descent, hailed from a distinguished lineage, including Confucius as his paternal ancestor, and his maternal aunts being Sung Mei-ling, the wife of Chiang Kai-shek and First Lady of the Republic of China, and political figure Sung Ching-ling. Paget and Kung had a son named Gregory Teichi. Kung, before their marriage, concluded in 1980. Nina Foch as Bithia. Bithia, an Egyptian princess and the offspring of Pharaoh Ramesses, found herself as a young widow without children. Consequently, she chose to adopt Moses, a child born to Hebrew slaves, nurturing him as a member of the Egyptian royal family. However, her actions led to her banishment by her brother Pharaoh Sethi, who felt deceived after discovering Moses' true heritage. Eventually, she departed Egypt alongside the Hebrews during their exodus. Securing a contract with Columbia Pictures at the age of 19, Foch embarked on her cinematic journey, marking her debut in the studio's horror production, The Return of the Vampire, 1943, alongside Bela Lugosi. She continued her career with roles in Columbia's Cry of the Werewolf the following year. Foch passed away on December 5, 2008, at the age of 84, at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. Her son, Dirk de Brito, revealed to the Los Angeles Times that she succumbed to complications arising from the blood disorder myelodysplasia. Foch fell ill the day before during one of her teaching sessions at USC. Following her wishes, Foch was cremated by the Neptune Society of Sherman Oaks, California, and her remains were entrusted to her son's care. Douglas Dumbrille as Yanis. Yanis served as an Egyptian priest under the reigns of Ramesses I, Sethi I, and Ramesses II. In 1913, the film industry on the East Coast was thriving. That same year, he appeared in the movie What 80 Million Women Want. However, it wasn't until 11 years later that he graced the screen again. In 1924, he made his debut on Broadway and intermittently pursued theater work for several years, all while supplementing his income by selling various goods such as car accessories, tea, insurance, real estate, and books. Dumbrille made 2 cameo appearances as a judge on CBS's Perry Mason series. In 1964, he portrayed Judge Robert Adler in The Case of the Latent Lover. And in 1965, he assumed the role of an unnamed judge in The Case of the Duplicate Case. After 47 years of marriage, Dumbrille's wife, Jessie Lawson, with whom he had a son named John and a daughter named Douglas, Dougie, passed away in 1957. In 1960, at the age of 70, Dumbrille tied the knot with Patricia Mowbray, the 28-year-old daughter of his close friend and fellow actor, Alan Mowbray. Dumbrille suffered a heart attack on April 2, 1974, and passed away at the Motion Picture Country Home and Hospital in Woodland Hills, California. Olive Deering as Miriam. Miriam, a Hebrew midwife and former slave, lived during the Exodus period. She was the firstborn child of Amram and Jochebed, and thus the elder sister of Aaron and Moses. Miriam later wed Hur ben Caleb. As a young girl, she trailed her infant brother's basket, made of reeds drifting among the Nile's rushes, as her mother did this to spare Moses from Pharaoh Ramses' decree of death to all Hebrew newborn males. Her initial stage appearance was a brief cameo in Girls in Uniform, 1933. On stage, she performed in Moss Hart's Winged Victory, Richard II, with Maurice Evans, and Counselor at Law, featuring Paul Mooney. Her portrayal in the Los Angeles rendition of Tennessee Williams's Suddenly Last Summer earned acclaim. Additional stage credits encompass No for an Answer, Ceremony of Innocence, Marathon 33, The Young Elizabeth, They Walk Alone, and Garden District. Deering exchanged vows with film director Leo Penn on February 19, 1947, in Los Angeles, California, before eventually divorcing. A supporter of the Democratic Party, she backed Adlai Stevenson's presidential bid during the 1952 election. Deering succumbed to cancer at 67 and was laid to rest in Kensico Cemetery in Valhalla, New York. She left behind no children and was survived by her brother Alfred Ryder. John Derrick as Joshua. Joshua was a former slave who eventually succeeded Moses. His handsome appearance caught attention, leading to his introduction to the film industry by his agent Henry Wilson, who temporarily named him Dare Harris, and David O. Selznick. He secured minor roles in Selznick productions like Since You Went Away, 1944, and I'll Be Seeing You, 1944. Post-war, Derek landed a small part in A Double Life, 1947, before catching the eye of Humphrey Bogart, renamed John. Derek by Bogart, he portrayed Nick Prettyboy Romano, an unapologetic killer, in Knock on Any Door, 1949, a socially conscious film helmed by Nicholas Ray. In September 1965, Derek began a relationship with American actress Linda Evans, then starring in television's The Big Valley. Over time, Evans decreased her TV appearances to be with Derek, funding his legal obligations and child support payments, as he had abandoned acting for photography and directing. John Derek passed away on May 22, 1998, in Santa Maria, California, at 71 due to cardiovascular disease. Yul Brynner as Rameses. The biological child of Pharaoh Seti Warren and his wife Rameses grew up alongside Moses, who was the son of Seti's sister Bithia. Unbeknownst to both Seti and Ramesses, Moses was actually born to a Hebrew woman who hid him shortly after birth. Bithia, Seti's daughter, raised Moses as her own to protect him from being killed by her father, Pharaoh Ramesses IV. In 1941, Briner debuted on Broadway in a production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, which premiered on December 2, 1941. He played Fabian and spoke a few lines in his broken English with a noticeable Russian accent. This opportunity allowed him to enhance his English skills, adding to his repertoire of languages, which included French, Japanese, Hungarian, and Russian. Despite becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen at the age of 22 in 1943 while living in New York as an actor and radio announcer, Briner renounced his U.S. citizenship at the U.S. Embassy in Bern, Switzerland, in June 1965 due to losing his tax exemption as an American resident working abroad. Briner passed away from lung cancer on October 10, 1985, at New York Hospital, aged 65. As we come to the end of our journey through the lives of the cast of The Ten Commandments, it's impossible not to feel a sense of reverence for the incredible talent and dedication they brought to their roles. From Charlton Heston's commanding presence as Moses to Anne Baxter's portrayal of the conflicted Nefertiti, each member of this ensemble cast left an indelible mark on cinematic history. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.